Cannabis Common Sense, the show that tells the truth about marijuana and the politics behind its prohibition.
State plans on offering a unique class this spring, and as far as they know, it'll be the first of its kind in the world. The course will teach students all about industrial hemp. Hemp is a non-psychoactive relative of marijuana. It used to be widely grown in the U.S., but has been banned by the federal government for more than 50 years. The class will be offered online through the university's College of Forestry. The department says that hemp is an extremely useful, renewable resource worth exploring. It can be used to make rope, clothing, food, even buildings.
Wood is still the largest volume renewable material that there is, but there's a lot of interest in other renewable materials, and it includes hemp. The hemp market right now is in the neighborhood of $500 million a year in the U.S. alone, and all of that raw material has to be imported.
Currently, there are 2 bills going through Congress attempting to make the cultivation of hemp legal again. It is legal in Canada, and many states have approved industrial hemp at the state level, including Oregon. There will be 40 spots in the class, and registration starts February 24th.
What would have happened if you had called your dad in college and told him you were going to be taking a class that focused on hemp?
I suspect the checks would have ceased. I think.
Or there was going to be more checks.
Yeah.
But I want to just put this out or think about real quickly is we want people to think about the realities of alternative energy, helping the land, helping the farmer, a green economy, alternative energy, all of the buzzwords that the political system keeps throwing at us but has no substance behind it. We want people to think and consider the identity and the realities of industrial hemp as an alternative energy solution to the problems that plague this planet. Hemp will help the farmer, it will save the farmer, it will create an environment, a fresh air environment that is healthy for this planet. Industrial hemp. We're not talking about marijuana. This is about industrial hemp. This is about helping the farmer and all of the things that hemp can do. And if nothing else, remember, it makes fresh oxygen for a carbon monoxide filling sky, and it does it on an annual basis. It's a renewable energy, and it sustains us. It was the largest cultivated planet. It was the largest cultivated crop on this planet up until the 1880s. Then around the discovery of oil, because hemp could do everything that oil can do and more, and do it safely without pesticides, without attacking and destroying the land. They outlawed marijuana a long time ago, but it was the hemp that they were after because the hemp could sustain an alternative economy. Thank you. So please think about it. Think about it. Think about it and do what makes sense. All right. Give us this day our daily yeses. Yes to life. Yes to living. Yes to caring. Yes to giving. Yes to creating. Yes to thinking. Yes to clarity. Yes to balance. Yes to being. Yes to seeing. Yes to yeses. Give us this day our daily yeses. chaos, confusions. Confusions, chaos. Desperations, despairs. Despairs, desperations. Program, belief. Belief, program. Manipulated minds. Minds manipulated. Reactions, behaviors. Behaviors, reactions. Fearful thinking. Thinking fearful. Inside. Outside. Altering thoughts. Thought altering. Forgetting medicine. Medicine forgetting. Clear thinking. Thinking clear. Coherent. Coherence. Coherency. Coherent. Prayers given. Given prayers. Peace and love. Love and peace. Created realities. Realities created. Whatever sees. Sees whatever. We do. Do we? Give us this day our daily yeses. Yes to yeses. Yes to seeing. Yes to being. Yes to balance. Yes to clarity. Yes to thinking. Yes to creating. Yes to giving. Yes to caring. Yes to living. Yes to life. Give us this day our daily yeses.
Thanks.
Well, what is cannabis? Cannabis, of course, is a medicine.
I think it's important to say that no medication is going to work for everybody all the time.
It's a specific for migraines, it's a specific for seizures.
The take on the plant is that it's symbiotic with the human.
If you can get something that's natural, that has literally zero side effects.
It works as almost a ubiquitous inhibitor of a lot of systems in the brain.
The science is absolutely clear. The pharmaceuticalization of cannabis is just beyond the horizon.
I think it's easier for men to come out and say they support it because women have a lot more on the line. You know, if they're mothers, then they have their kids on the line.
So I tried it, and at first, it freaked me out. I had a few panic attacks.
We know that cannabis can prevent Alzheimer's, and if it can reduce all these ailments and keep your stress level low, that adds years to your life before you're even sick.
And so the petrochemical, pharmaceutical, military, industrial, transnational, corporate fascist lead SOBs vilified the cannabis plant.
We're all grown up now. We're not in the closet anymore. We don't give up.
smoke what you think. We smoke marijuana.
But once you just let go with it and just be, it does so many things.
This consciousness opens the doors to perception, expands consciousness, and puts you in a receptive state.
I like to say when I give lectures, I start off by saying I smoke pot and I like it a lot.
Part of what we're doing with Oregon NORML is trying to maximize the Oregon Medical Marijuana Act and try to help the patients that truly need the medicine.
America's ready for a change in the marijuana laws. We're reached critical mass to change this critical mass.
Let's hope we can all live together in peace and harmony, love, and legalize marijuana, for God's sake.
And it's great that we can come out here and show the world that we can be regular stoners. You know, we can do things right, we can obey the laws, follow the police officers, not get run over, and come back here, sign the petitions. And remember, folks, if you came here today and you didn't sign the petition, you weren't here. And you want to be able to prove you were here, so sign the petition if you haven't already. And have your friends sign it. Take it home, a copy with you. Have your neighbors sign it. Have your coworkers. Because it's all about activism. Activism is what gives us our rights. And if you don't exercise your rights, it's like your muscles, they go away. And we don't want what rights we have about cannabis, what few we have, to go away, do we? No. So remember that, because it's going to take every single one of us. There's not enough of us out there that are concerned enough to show up at a place like this. So it takes everybody here to go out there and to make a difference. Talk to your legislatures, because now they're going to be running for office. They're going to be coming asking you for your vote. And that's, they want your vote. So you're going to have to ask them, where do they stand on cannabis, right? So ask them, how do they stand, where do they stand with cannabis? How come they aren't on the side of freedom? So, if you have a Republican, conservative legislature, ask them, how come they don't stand with freedom? And if you have a Democratic politician, ask them, how come they don't stand for sensible regulation? Because that's all we want is freedom and sensible regulation. But that's what's got us here so far, is this word to keep pushing that for freedom. And whatever groups are out there, all these beautiful groups, NORML, THCF, OGF, National Green Friends, everybody. It takes everybody, and that's the beauty of this country, is that there's so many of us out there, and it's a group that we can all join and all have the same common cause, which is legalize cannabis. All right, so those you may know, I'm Oregon NORML's legal counsel, and I represent a lot of folks with marijuana issues. And I have there's a famous 4 sayings that sometimes works for Anna, sometimes doesn't. So, but these are the sayings that if you ever run into a police officer, whether it's you're on foot, you're in your car, your bicycle, or in your home, and you want to protect your rights, because that's your constitutional right, is not to be interfered with. So remember this, folks. So I'll repeat them, and you folks say them after me. I want to hear it nice and loud. Am I free to go, officer? Am I free to go, officer? I do not consent to any searches. I do not consent to any searches. I wish to remain silent. I wish to remain silent. I wish to speak to my attorney. I wish to speak to my attorney, Paul Loney. All right. Remember, folks, you got to practice that every single day. Because, when it comes time, when you're in an emergency, you're going to be nervous. So when you're brushing your teeth in the morning, it's like, I wish to remain silent. I wish to talk to my attorney. I do not consent to any searches. When you brush your teeth, use that. That's a great reminder. Every day, look in the mirror, brush your teeth. That's right, I have rights. So, and I'll turn it back over to Anna. And again, once again, thanks to everybody that helped put this on today. And thanks to everybody that showed up.
The loud cry and march of activists in Portland hoping to galvanize support to legalize marijuana. Prohibition doesn't work. That's the message from the Oregon chapter of a national group that wants to reform marijuana laws. And those activists made sure their message was heard loud and clear yesterday. Portland and several hundred other cities held a global cannabis march. The event is in its 13th year. Participants gathered in Pioneer Courthouse Square before marching through downtown with a police escort. The organization's executive director says there's been a shift in public sentiment toward more liberal marijuana policies, and they hope the march galvanized support.
About 50% of Americans now support legalization of cannabis for adults, and we think that it could be a great boon to the economy here in Portland and statewide. And between cannabis and legalizing growing of industrial hemp, that we could probably solve a lot of the economic problems that we're having here in Oregon.
After the rally, medical marijuana patients were invited to a cannabis cafe in Southeast Portland to hear several speakers.
Well, here's a little song that you might get along with, all about a natural seed growing wild by the side of the roadway. It's nature's a wonderful weed. Been around so long, it's hard to tell why anyone would think it's new. Love it or hate it, however you relate it, I'll leave that up to you. But isn't that righteous? And isn't that good enough? Ain't that the way it ought to be? Isn't that righteous? Isn't that good enough? Righteous is good enough for me. History's locked in a cardboard box and it's hard to take a look, with sidetracked frills and fantasies all written all over the book. Everybody tells you what to think and they've got their reasons why. You gotta pick reality up by the scruff of the neck and look it right in the eye. And isn't that righteous? Isn't that good enough? Ain't that the way it ought to be? Isn't that righteous? And isn't that good enough? Righteous is good enough for me. Now the same people that are spreading the fear, the same people that scare me the most. You know, some of them look like they just as soon like they're hanging from a lamppost. They talk about what it does to your brain. Well, I just have to react, cause Hitler never touched this stuff, and that's an actual fact. And isn't that righteous? Isn't that good enough? Ain't that the way it ought to be? Isn't that righteous? And isn't that good enough? Righteous is good enough for me. George Washington was the father of our country, and he had a hemp plantation. Betsy Ross used it to make the flag that flew above the baby nation. They wrote their declarations on paper from that same hemp fiber press, and I don't know what they smoked when they were taking a break, but I got a pretty good guess. And isn't that righteous? Isn't that good enough? Ain't that the way it ought to be? Isn't that righteous? And isn't that good enough? Righteous is good enough for me. Uptight, it just might make you smile. Use seed oil in your engine, it'll lubricate the miles. Glaucoma and chemotherapy, they say it smooths out the track. So next time you meet a cancer patient, ask them what they think about that. Isn't that righteous? Isn't that good enough? Ain't that the way it ought to be? Isn't that righteous? And isn't that good enough? Righteous is good enough for me. I don't know why some people get so upset when you say to legalize it. They'd rather build more jails, arrest more people, and spread more crazy lies. It's like talking to a brick wall. You know, they just don't get the facts. I think they ought to try a little of that Betsy Ross. It just might help them relax. And isn't that righteous? Isn't that good enough? Ain't that the way it ought to be? Isn't that righteous? And isn't that good enough? Righteous is good enough for me. So I'll be on my way now. Guess I've taken just about enough of your time. I know there's a lot of people out there that don't like my state of mind, but I got mine and you got yours. We give what we can take. So next time I need a breather, well, I might just take a little smoke break. And isn't that righteous? Isn't that good enough? Ain't that the way it ought to be? Isn't that righteous? Isn't that good enough? Righteous is good enough for me. Isn't that righteous? And isn't that good enough? Ain't that the way it ought to be? Isn't that righteous? And isn't that good enough? Righteous is good enough for me.
Joining us on the program is Debbie Goldsberry, who's the co-founder of the Cannabis Action Network, acronym CAN. Welcome to our show. What is CAN all about?
Well, Cannabis Action Network is what's called an unincorporated association. We're a charity. We're a group of people who have got together for a common cause. Our cause or our goal is to legalize cannabis.
Okay. Now, I've noticed from being involved with the hemp movement that it's not always that the ladies seem to want to speak up or they're not out there in the front lines. You are a good example of someone who's not intimidated by being out there. I think they're afraid for their children. I think they're afraid of the repercussions that can happen in their professional lives. How do you deal with that?
Let's see. Well, I don't have children. No, it's easy. Professional life, no. Professional activist.
Well, what do you tell these people?
Yeah. Well, basically, I think what it is it's a difference between the way that male and female are socialized in our country. Females are literally socialized to be more in the background. We find in the marijuana movement and what's going on that when females do join the movement, they're working behind a table or they're in some sort of a supportive role. Usually they choose that position because that's where we would feel more comfortable. When a woman actually does step forward, there is a lot of discrimination. It's not discrimination solely within the marijuana movement, the whole entire country, if not the whole entire world, however that works. But there is a lot within the marijuana movement, and that's like everyone says, there's a lot of middle-aged men involved. A lot of it is the Washington, D.C. political scene. It's been like this here for hundreds of years.
Okay.
As far as getting more people involved, I think it's important for women who are involved to stand up and to take a forward role in the movement. That's what we're all about.
Now, occasionally, I've heard the reference to the girls that can, the ladies that can. So, and you're a co-founder. Who else put this together with you?
Let's see. Well, the Cannabis Action Network wasn't actually founded by all women or girls. What it started out with was a group of college students around the state of Illinois, along with National NORML and Wisconsin NORML. In the long run, when it came down to it, after we'd gone through a couple years, let's see. Well, we didn't actually start CAN right away, I should say. We started the Hemp Tour Project. Cannabis Action Network came after about a year of hemp tours, after we decided that we did need to start some sort of a movement. At that time, a group of us, I guess you could say friends, got together, girls who were friends, and we started a national organization. So that's how it is.
Now you tour, I know from reading in High Times magazine, and I've been in association, of course, with the hemp organization, and so you do go coast to coast, and you've had the opportunity to see firsthand the enthusiasm or lack of enthusiasm towards the hemp movement. How strong of a body do you think we have?
I think we have a very strong body of enthusiastic supporters out there. What we found when we go across the country, it pretty much goes with the marijuana laws. In a place like New York City or a state where there's a decriminalization, decriminalization law, we don't get as much support. In a place where there's a lot of harsh laws, a lot of police intimidation, we get a lot of support. Basically what's happened is that the more the government fights against us, the more that we, the users, the cannabis supporters, realize that we have to get together and work to legalize.
Okay, now when you raise your voice in society, you raise it with strength and pride, but a lot of people still aren't being able to have the opportunity to hear. Now, do you plan to continue with hemp tours, and so how do you plan to continue to promote them?
Well, the way the hemp tour works is it has a couple different levels. It starts off with the beginning level. The beginning level is to get our activists, to find the people who are interested in legalizing, the activist supporters who can carry on bigger and better projects. Usually takes a couple years in any given area to get a good solid core of activists. After that we change the platform. Instead of finding our activists, what we do is we want to educate the public. We would call that an A tour, a main focus tour, and we bring along a national speaker, like Jack Herrera, LV Musica, the medical marijuana patient. That's the point that we're at right now, doing our A tours, educational forums to reach out into the public. That involves things like debates and lectures, public forums. After that, and that's the point that we're at right now, after this, we plan on developing a new strategy. How do we get bigger? How do we get better? Our goal right now is to have statewide conferences in every state, get the organizers together to meet at roundtable discussions, and to form a more direct political agenda, lobbying, direct demonstration type of things.
Okay. Now you stem out of Lexington, Kentucky. Are there chapters or other CAN organizations across America that people can contact too?
There are CAN organizations. The Cannabis Action Network is not a membership organization. It's a network of organizations across the country and activists. Involved in the network, we have about 200 organizations. It has grown exponentially. 2 years ago, we only had 5. So instead of actually encouraging people to become CAN organizations, we encourage people to develop their own organization, study local drug policy, come up with something that will be effective right in their hometown.
From touring coast to coast, I know you've had a chance to meet a lot of people. What have you seen firsthand? What injustice have you seen firsthand that are stemming from the prohibition laws that you really think need to be immediately changed?
Oh boy, I've seen a lot of injustices. The main thing that I think is that we need to educate our enforcement police departments, basically. I could tell you a story about Oakland, California. We were out in Oakland at a Grateful Dead show. What we do is we set up hemp information tables, display books, T-shirts, and stuff like that. We had a permit to set up the table. We're at the Grateful Dead lot, like I said. Police come by, they say, "Where's your permit?" We show them the permit. They say, "Marijuana table, permit, this can't be possible. Marijuana's illegal. You can't be here. You can't do this." They say, "We have to call the sergeant, hold on to the permit." So police officer has a permit. Well, they're motorcycle cops. The guy gets on his motorcycle with the permit and he leaves. Just leaves. The other cops say, "Well, it doesn't matter anyway, because even if you have your permit, we're going to park our motorcycles right in front of your table. Nobody's going to come up to your table." The sergeant comes, he says, "Where's your permit?" We say, "Permit?" The cop just drove away with our permit. He said, "You don't have a permit, you can't be here, we'll arrest you if you don't leave right now." So right there we have it. It's the discrimination against the marijuana, it's discrimination against the culture, and it's just the blatant violations, and they don't really understand the Constitution. And that's what we're trying to do.
Now, you say you set up booths at the Grateful Dead concerts. What kind of information do you give out at these booths?
Well, our main focus is what we call our hemp museum. We have different displays of hemp products that come from around the world. Right now you can import hemp products. We display the seeds and the seed cake, the granola bars, the cloth, different things like that. We pass out information and we sell products that display our message. Basically, we feel if somebody wears a T-shirt around with a marijuana slogan, tens of thousands of people will see that message over the course of the next couple of years.
Excellent. If you had the opportunity to encourage somebody to join you, would you encourage them to go on the road, work in their own local areas, and how would you go about recruiting that individual?
I would encourage each person to choose their focus individually, decide what you're best designed to do within this movement. There are a million facets that we need to cover, basically.
What do you tell ladies when they come up and say, "I want to get involved, but I'm afraid if I do, I'll lose my children"?
Well, that's a tough question. I tell people, first of all, what they need to do is they need to educate themselves. When it comes to a situation, something like losing a child, number one, you're going to be faced with the authorities. When you're faced with the authorities, that's basically what we say is it's an on-the-spot type thing. Educate yourself so if you're faced with a problem, you can argue your point. There's no reason why you should have to worry about your children being taken away. There's nothing wrong with supporting the First Amendment.
Are you primarily an informational organization, or can someone call if they need help in a particular area and find that type of help?
Well, like I said, we're a network, and we can act as a referral to different organizations, whereas we might not have that many resources or much information at our Kentucky base. We can refer you to all kinds of people all over the country.
So you can help people take care of problems, hopefully, in their own areas.
Right.
If you had the opportunity to say one thing to the people sitting at home listening that might encourage them to get off their fanny and do something productive, what would that be?
Oh, I would have to say that it's working, and that's what people have to understand. The problem that we have right now is that the situation has reached a critical point. Our laws are bad, The laws are so bad that people don't even realize anymore that there is a problem as far as the Constitution. They don't realize they have the right to speak up for their rights. They don't realize there's the right to protest. They don't realize that they can pass out information about marijuana. It's illegal. So what I would tell people is, basically the only way that we're going to change this, the only way that we're going to change this debate is to get out there, to exercise our First Amendment rights and to talk to people about it. Once you start talking to people, you become empowered. People understand that it's the truth, and literally you're thanked a million times.
It's been nice having you on our show. It's refreshing to hear someone speak as honestly as you do. I wish you all the luck in everything that you're doing. I can be back on our show again sometime. As we've learned today, there's a lot going on in the world that we still need yet to change. We can't do it without a group of people joining each other to make that difference. Please, take the time, take the courage to make a difference in your community. Until next time, keep strong, keep happy, keep wise.
Ole Miss is home to many things, including the only legally grown marijuana crop in our nation. And a new development there is creating quite a buzz tonight. Faculty and student researchers say they've created a new pain reliever in the form of a patch. Action News 5's Janice Broach joins us now with the story you'll see only on Fox.
This here, just touching, the smell is a wonderful smell.
Dr. Mahmoud El-Soli is a faculty member at the School of Pharmacy at Ole Miss. He and his team have been working inside this lab for nearly 7 years to find alternative uses for THC, the main psychoactive ingredient in marijuana.
The plant itself has a great potential for good medicines coming out of the cannabis plant, but certainly not in smoking of the drug.
You heard him. He is not a fan of legalizing pot, but he is a fan of his newest creation, a pot pain reliever in the form of a patch that is placed over the gum line in patients who have problems taking the drug in pill form.
In addition to pain, it will include things like reducing the intraocular pressure, and therefore will be good for glaucoma. Will be good for alleviating the nausea and vomiting associated with chemotherapy. Will also be good for appetite stimulation.
Formulas were first screened in rabbits, then pigs. Dr. El-Soli believes the right formula will lead to testing in humans.
So we're not really introducing anything strange to the body other than the THC itself. We're just having to make it so that we make it possible to be absorbed through the mucosa.
More than 77,000 samples were prepared for analysis on this project. Early tests show the patch can work for up to 10 hours.
Because of the way it's absorbed, it's almost like absorbed from the lungs, right? Like the smoke. When you smoke, it goes from the lungs to the whole entire body before going to the liver. Unlike the oral, goes to the liver first and then goes to the rest of the body.
The patch grew out of earlier experiments Dr. El-Soli says didn't go over so well. He first tried making a pot suppository.
Jay Leno was, had it on his show when we first came up with the product and say, that researcher at Ole Miss has developed a way to administer, marijuana by suppository. You know how he came up with this idea? They say, how? And he said, well, he was smoking a joint, and then he saw the cups and he went.
Janice Broach, Action News 5.
All right. Ole Miss has not used its outdoor marijuana field since the year 2007. Instead, everything is grown in a lab, which is under 24-hour surveillance by the DEA. Research on the pot patch got its kickstart thanks to a national grant. You can learn more about it at WMCTV.com, Ursula.
These words just did not sink in their head. So many give, so many more than take. Until the sun turned off, it's just a have to beg. War's over. When's everybody gonna learn? War's over. Till then we're gonna burn. War's over. Unless you caught up in the line, let's say we're right. War's over. So yeah, let's come together and get high. So what about it? Ain't you heard the story yet? You're going to help to change it, the right to be dead. I'm getting way too concerned and it ain't no lie, no lie. We come together sooner, we all bound to die. War's over. Don't you be acting dumb. War's over. Yeah, the drug war's over. There's nowhere to run. War's over. Let's get caught up in the night. Say we're right. War's over. So come together, people, and get high.
The prescription pure THC over the natural plant. That just is unheard of in the patients.
Cannabidiol, also known as CBD, is a non-psychoactive component of cannabis that gives the sedative effect to the high experienced. Amongst its numerous functions, CBD has been shown to have anti-inflammatory and analgesic effects. It helps fight diabetes, bacterial infections, and malignant tumors. This compound is also a nerve protectant and has well-documented antipsychotic and anxiety-reducing effects.
There's quite a lot of CBD in that particular one as well, cannabidiol, which is another cannabinoid, a non-psychoactive cannabinoid, which we think is actually a very important component of the medicine. We're fascinated by this stuff, which has tremendous potential as an anti-inflammatory, but also, rather surprisingly, as an antipsychotic.
So hold on, you're telling me that CBD could be a treatment for psychosis?
Isn't that ironic? With all the sort of tremendous publicity around the link with cannabis smoking and the potential of increasing the risk of psychosis, here we have a component of the plant which itself is antipsychotic.
The cannabis plant has been bred for decades to maximize the amount of THC. That gives the plant the strongest psychoactive effect for the least amount of product. Now, in doing this, we've bred the other cannabinoids out of the plant, or down to minuscule amounts. And each of those cannabinoids that has been bred down to minuscule amounts has its own medicinal quality or medicinal properties. So we've lost a lot of those other properties. Myself and a group of doctors have been asking growers to bring back CBD into the plant because cannabidiol, along with some of these other minor cannabinoids such as cannabigerol and cannabichromene, have shown to have a lot of anti-cancer properties.
Tetrahydrocannabivarin, or THCV, has been found in significant amounts mostly in South African and some Thai strains of grass. High concentrations of THCV will make the high come on quicker, but last for less time. This chemical compound may eventually prove to be a useful treatment for type 2 diabetes. THCV has been shown to have a protective, preventative effect against malignant tumors. Cannabichromene, or CBC, is a low-level cannabinoid. Though little research has been done, scientists believe CBC may have an antidepressant effect, as well as the ability to reduce inflammation. CBC strongly inhibits tumor growth in leukemia and breast cancer. Faced with all these new discoveries, one is brought to question what stops marijuana from being legalized for medical use all across the country. And it's not only doctors calling for legalization.
I was opposed to the medical marijuana initiative because it created a morphodite. You've got marijuana that's legal and you've got marijuana that's illegal. And therefore you've got a built-in problem is how do you determine who's legal and who isn't? And of course, with it being illegal, it's a built-in government price support. So as long as it's illegal, there's going to be money in it. If it was decriminalized, everybody could grow it in their backyard. Nobody'd go by ripping them off at gunpoint or any other thing because it wouldn't be worth anything.
We wouldn't have to worry about people that were illegally transporting marijuana. We would know. You would have a license from the state. We'd make contact with you coming down Highway 101, for example, with a trunk load of marijuana. If we were to stop you for a minor traffic violation and detect the odor of marijuana, you could simply produce credentials indicating that you have a right to do this, that you're sanctioned by the state to make this happen, or licensed by the state. I think it would be very, very beneficial to law enforcement.
After becoming a permanent fixture of the urban panorama in California, Oregon is beginning to open the first public venues for medical marijuana smokers.
We're at the Cannabis Cafe today. This is a place where cardholders can come and medicate out of public view. So I have patients that are on stage 5 of cancer. We have people that were using AIDS medicines, the cocktails that are so, they just destroy your organs and everything else. And people were expecting them to die. Their families were just ready for them to go away. But then they started using medical marijuana and their appetites came back. They left some of those pharmaceuticals that were so harsh. Many times I've gotten calls from people who were at OHSU or at the Veterans Administration Hospital here in Portland, and they couldn't medicate out of public view. They had gone through procedures for 4 to 6 hours, and because of that, they needed a place to use their medicine. They had to go to an alley. They had to go to the back seat of their car. That was unsafe, and so we created this place for them, for us, a niche where we could use our medicine out of public view and enjoy each other. We're social creatures. There's nothing wrong with that.
But at the federal level, they're still clinging to a more archaic view.
Is there a better way, and some people have suggested looking into a system of legalization that might be effective in stemming the tide of drugs from Mexico and then the border wars and the immigration problems from Mexico? Have you considered this as a possibility?
I think anybody who looks at this problem considers it, and ultimately when you look at it, rejects it.
Let me ask you about the way...
Too many people, I'm sorry, but there are too many individuals, both parents and others, who have lost their lives to drugs to give a ready answer that it should be legalized.
Name me a couple of parents who've lost their lives to marijuana.
Can't.
Exactly, you can't, because that hadn't happened. And there hadn't been a wave, because that's been a constant thing in America since Harry Anslinger, because African Americans used it and saw it as something that was crippling and gave it to the Latin Americans and put an ethnic tone to it. When have we, is there some time we're going to see that we ought to prioritize meth, crack, cocaine, and heroin and deal with the drugs that the American culture is really being affected by and lives are being lost?
That's not to say that we can't use cannabis as medicine, but as a plant, its quality, its purity, its strength, its consistency, it's difficult to regulate. And because of that, it's not ever likely to be reinstated into the pharmacopoeia. I think the greatest hurdle is that we need to get Congress to remove cannabis from the Controlled Substances Act. It's just absurd that cannabis is still there. It has enormous medicinal value. It's not addictive. It doesn't have a significant withdrawal syndrome. And it certainly is not really a menace to society.
The anti-cancer qualities of marijuana appear to have been known to the U.S. government for over 30 years. In a 1974-75 Medical College of Virginia study led by Dr. Albert Munson, they discovered that THC slowed the growth of 3 kinds of cancer: lung, breast, and virus-induced leukemia. The Virginia study was shut down, and all further cannabis tumor research was abandoned.
Just as I said, the number of times that all of the available literature on marijuana's safety and effectiveness has been reviewed by august government-appointed clinical bodies and have come back with the same conclusion, that it's safe and it's, useful, and that information gets ignored.
The problem remains, though, that nobody in Congress wants to be labeled soft on drugs. But as the states begin to legalize or continue to legalize the medicinal use of cannabis, I believe there will be a tipping point where the nation will be ready to change the law and allow people their right to use cannabis freely.
You have some gravy in your face. This is Wavy Gravy, your basic psychedelic relic and temple of accumulated error. And your name is, sir?
Casper Leach.
Yes, Casper, and what do you want?
This show.
And this show is?
Time for him!
Ta-da-da-da-da! Give me an H!
A!
Give me an E! E! Give me an M!
L!
Give me a P!
P!
A P is a D that dripped. It's time for hemp! Yeah! And what are we going to talk about today?
Hemp! And thank you for joining us today. Today we have a marvelous clown on our show, Wavy Gravy.
I remember Woodstock. I remember Woodstock. It seems like it was almost good.
Think hard. Think hard.
Thinking gets in the way of thought. Never forget that.
Wasn't that a campaign promise that you made when you were running for, or were you running for president?
My chromosomes have amnesia. No, I work for nobody. I'm with the Nobody for President campaign.
Nobody.
Because I believe nobody's perfect. Nobody keeps all campaign promises. Nobody knows you when you're down and out. Nobody bakes apple pie better than mom. And nobody should have that much power. If nobody wins, nobody loses. It's a pair of ducks. I work for nobody. I'm nobody's fool. Who you voting for? Who lowered your taxes?
Nobody.
Who legalized marijuana?
Nobody.
All right. Need I say more?
Let's put him in office.
Or her. Watch that sexist talk. I'm from Berkeley.
Oh, excuse me. What did you do in Berkeley?
In Berkeley, we ran for city council of the 5th district under the slogan, "Let's elect a real clown for a change."
And did you get elected?
No, but we got over 2,000 votes, and getting elected wasn't exactly what we had in mind. I mean, there would have gone every Tuesday for a couple of years. Meanwhile, when Ken Kesey came with his bus, and we loaded 100 pieces of media on the bus and set out towards the water supply, I knew that I didn't have much to worry about.
So what kind of future plans do you have for politics then?
Just say no's. And Everybody who contributed to my campaign got a free nose, and we also advertised a rubber chicken in every pothole. Or how about some rubber pot in every chicken hole? That's really exotic.
Why not?
Why not? Yes, why not? Why not? Because some people like to control the photos of dead presidents. That's why not. It all has to do with greed and money, right? Otherwise, we would be smoking this stuff to our. It's just flowers, for heaven's sakes. What's wrong with smoking flowers? I ask you, sir.
Well, actually, it could be bad for pollination, couldn't it?
And not only that, it's very hard to pollinate when you're in jail. Do not pass go. Do not collect $200 for smoking some flowers. Come on, spare me. Give me a break.
But we know it's addictive, right? It's a gateway drug. Isn't it a gateway drug?
It's a gateway. If that's the gateway, where's the door? I'd like a key to get in the door. Why are these people having so much fun? Officer!
Do you think we should make hemp maybe an industrial crop of some nature?
Well, yes, we could make an industrial crop of hemp. We could build machines, hemp machines. We could build hemp automobiles. We could build hemp. We could build houses of hemp. We could build universes of hemp.
Yeah.
Truth is what you could use. And hemp is a purveyor of so many different things. For fuel. Hi, my name is David Niven. we can make paper out of it. It makes extremely slick paper that they use in the best of Bibles. On my mother's grave. Remember, death is Patrick Henry's second choice. That's just a little aside here.
And where do you see hemp in your future?
I see hemp in. Well, certainly I would like to cover my Ford with hemp. And I have nostalgia for the future, as my friend Stephen Ben Israel so aptly put it. These are the good old days. This is when we're going to legalize it. The 90s or the 60s, standing on your head.
Amen. Now,
and women, too. We're from Berkeley, remember?
That's right, that's right. I see you brought a friend with you.
Oh, yeah, this is Kilgore, my pet trout. And he just minds my phone numbers, and
is this out of,
no big deal.
Is this out of where they had the Exxon?
Tune a piano, you can't tune a fish. What?
Oh.
It's stop fish from smelling, hold their noses. This is what happens when you smoke this stuff, folks. It's much, so just make your papers and run your automobiles and just give me a hit every now and then. And like Hunter Thompson once said, when the going gets tough, the weird turn pro.
Yeah!
We want to let everybody know that we're law-abiding citizens and that we respect the law. So let's
relax it and tax it. Medical marijuana gotta have it. Relax it and tax it. Righteousness, nothing but the blood of Jesus. Oh, precious. Legalize it. Legalize it. Legalize it. Legalize it. Legalize it. Legalize it. I smoke pot and I like it a lot. I smoke pot and I like it a lot. Repeat it. I smoke pot and I like it a lot. I smoke pot and I like it a lot. Marijuana, marijuana. Hey, 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 getting high. Free hemp now, 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 free hemp now. Black and Hispanic.
engine to run on hemp oil. 1 acre yields 300 gallons of biodiesel. Do you want your fuel dollar going in the pocket of an Arab sheik or an American farmer? Which would you rather see your money to? How many American boys have died for fuel that we... Give me weed or give me death.
And we're going to go out on another great song from Jansu and John Cornett.
Help us restore.
Help us restore hemp. Good night.
After all the jacks are in their boxes and the clowns have all gone to bed, you can hear happiness staggering on down the street. Footsteps dressed in red, and the wind whispers Mary. Broom is drearily sweeping up the broken pieces of yesterday's life. Somewhere a queen is weeping, somewhere a king